Hello everyone, I am Julian Morris with the Channel 5 News. In the headlines, new Eastern Caribbean banknotes with special features expected to increase the independence of the blind and visually impaired. Dominicans told they should not expect to be burdened with the financing of the country's new cruise and cargo ports. And head of the Builders and Contractors Association calls for financial incentives for local builders. The details coming up.
Imagine you have Hollywood at your command. Introducing Flow Evil.
Red cheese, gold rings, all black, everything creeping through the night.
Anywhere you are.
Big girls don't scream hard like Halloween, make me feel alive.
There's a world of entertainment here, and you run the show. Flow Evil.
First up in the news, it's official. The Windsor Park Stadium forecourt, or Carnival City as it is being dubbed for this season, will be the home of this year's Grand Calypso Finals. Andrea Louis has a report.
President of the Dominica Calypso Association, Davidson the Observer Victor, made the announcement at the weekly Mass Dominic press conference organized by the Dominica Festivals Committee. Victor explained that no other suitable grounds were available to host the Calypso Finals, therefore it will be held at the Carnival City. Despite concerns with the capacity of the stadium forecourt, Victor says the association has been working with the Carnival City's engineer and has received the assurance that the venue will be well suited to accommodate the large crowds expected for the Calypso Finals.
We walk the grounds, we look at all the possibilities, and he has assured us that the grounds is adequate to take whatever crowd is going to come to the Calypso Finals. We gave him the numbers that we usually get at the Calypso Finals, and we put a ceiling as to what we expect, and he assured us that the grounds is adequate in terms of space. All we have to do is to set it up, and he shows us how he's going to set up different screens in strategic locations, where if you are in one area, you will be able to see everything that is happening. So the setup looks nice, and we are looking good, and we expect to have a very, 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 very massive crowd at the Calypso Finals.
Victor says preparations are currently ongoing at Carnival City grounds ahead of next weekend's show.
The modifications are happening as we speak. It's not the type of modification that's going to affect any other event. It's more a matter of shifting a few things around, because it's just a matter of ensuring that where we need the space, the actual space to be, they are available, and certain things are there, so we just have to shift them around, move them around. And in terms of putting up the screens and so on, this will be done in time. So everything is on stream as we speak. So the logistics are quite easy, as assured to us from the engineer, Mr. Sean Shillingford.
The Calypso Association president is promising patrons an exciting Calypso Finals this year.
The Calypso Finals is looking up to be a very interesting Calypso Finals. There's quite a bit of great Calypsos this year. This is one of the Calypso years where the Calypso is very much on a high. So the patrons can expect a very, very interesting and very competitive Calypso Finals. And we seek your support in that regard.
10 Calypsonians will compete in the Grand Finals on 2nd March, 9 of whom will try to dethrone the reigning king, Daryl Bob.
And chairman of the National Cultural Council says he wants to see more performing arts facilities around the country. Here again is Andrea Louis.
The National Cultural Council chairman, who is also Chief Cultural Officer Raymond Lawrence, says culture is a key part of a country's heritage and steps should be taken to preserve it. He says to date there are few proper facilities to host cultural displays, and the council's ultimate plan is to create more cultural performance centers around the island.
Of course, we are not losing sight of the fact that culture is really all over the island. In every district, in every part of Dominica, we cannot lose the sight of that. And then you need facilities as well, all over Dominica as well, in different sections, different districts. That's always in our sort of our plans. So eventually the whole island will sort of have proper facilities, proper spaces available for art exhibitions, for dance performances, for shows, and so. If not every community, but every district in Dominica should.
Renovation works are ongoing at the Old Mill Cultural Center and the Arak House of Culture to the tune of $1.3 million. Lawrence applauded the project to renovate these cultural centers and says going forward, focus should be placed on developing cultural centers in other parts of the country.
But in addition to that, of course, we need more theaters, of course, in Dominica, but at least let us try to get the Arawak back after the hurricane. So I'm so happy, I'm thankful to God that the work has actually started and that the work should be completed soon, and the same for the Old Mill in terms of the different aspects of the project, which includes a new permanent stage at the Old Mill.
The renovation works on the Old Mill Cultural Center and Arawak House of Culture are scheduled to be completed by May this year. Andrea Louis, Channel 5 News.
In other news now, government has revealed plans to set up new cruise and cargo ports with no initial tax burden on the citizens. The Prime Minister says a team of architects and developers were due to present proposed final designs for the new cruise and cargo ports to Cabinet on Tuesday.
This is a modern 21st century design that will place Dominica ahead of any other cruise destination in the English-speaking Caribbean. And the good thing is, ladies and gentlemen, is that we have negotiated for this project to be financed by the developers themselves and for them to recoup their money through the growth of the sector over the years. In this way, the taxpayers of Dominica will not be asked or expected to carry a burden too heavy to bear.
And the labor market for skilled laborers is deemed to have gotten worse. That's according to President of the Builders and Contractors Association, Anthony LeBlanc. He says despite the high demand created by Hurricane Maria's destruction, it has not worked out to the benefit of all local contractors.
I've had the opportunity to supervise construction repairs to roof where only the contractor himself had any technical knowledge of what was needed to be done. It's frightening. The skilled workmen who became contractors not only left their previous employer without a skill set, but could not find one for themselves in their new business. The new foreign-based contractors, large and small, poach many employees at all levels from existing contractors. The wage demands of even the unskilled rose significantly. Hence, wage bills increase without parallel increase in productivity or capacity.
LeBlanc says the financial environment can hinder the growth of the sector and would like to see more done in the way of fiscal incentives for builders and contractors.
The fiscal incentive and support. We have repeatedly requested an exemption of VAT on capital investment in the construction sector, at least above $100,000. This does not affect the government VAT income. Rather, it allows the private sector to improve on its ability to meet its investment needs for growth, as well as to improve on available working capital. We have also asked for assistance and financial incentive in accessing funds for capital investment.
Chairman of the Caribbean Community CARICOM, Dr. Timothy Harris, says he remains deeply concerned by the actions and statements of the Secretary General of the Organization of American States, OAS, Luis Almagro, which are outside, he says, the bounds of his remit as the head of an international organization. Harris says in a statement Almagro's tweet of 7th February 2019 associating himself with the suggestion that Dominica will not conduct free and fair upcoming elections is the latest manifestation of his inappropriate behavior. Earlier, Foreign and CARICOM Affairs Minister Senator Francine Barron demanded an apology from the OAS Secretary General. That came after he posted a tweet saying he had met with Dominica's former OAS ambassador Crispin Gregoire, who expressed concern that Dominica's upcoming elections is not free and fair. Almagro said Gregoire also requested OAS assistance to help ensure a level playing field. Dr. Timothy Harris says it is disturbing that without first consulting with the government of Dominica, which is a member state of the OAS Secretary General should be associating himself with such an inference. Harris says the community once again calls on the Secretary General to refrain from actions and statements which are beyond the competence of the office and which affect the impartiality of the organization he has the privilege to lead. You are watching Channel 5 News. We'll have more after the break.
Here are some tips to reduce mosquito presence in and around your home. Keep water storage containers properly covered. Remove containers that can collect water from your surroundings. Keep garbage bins tightly covered. Pick up your litter and remove all tires from your yard. Keep gutters free of leaves and twigs to prevent stagnant water. Prevent Zika, Dengue, and Chikungunya. Fight the bite. This is a public service announcement from the Dominica Red Cross.
This message is supported by Flow.
Les moun ki ni TB estene e ben tousse, moun ki en bonne santé oli wen ka respire se vermine la. Moun ki pa ni bon tempérament, kon sa ki ni maladie HIV, alcool, ka fume, ti mamay e grand moun, bien sensible pour ces maladies ça là. Moun ki ka tousse ni pou prendre précaution le yo en parmi moun en place publique, couvert bouche ou le ka estene e tousse. Visiter docteur e ben place santé. Fini tout traitement yo ba ou sa joine guérison et puis maladie TB. En responsabilité ou aider du bout si men maladie TB et HIV, protéger corps et les autres.
The Prime Minister and Minister for Finance has made a public commitment to make a more significant investment in the upkeep of the country's tertiary-level institutions. Addressing a DLP delegates conference on Sunday, the Prime Minister committed to making financial allocation to improve facilities used by state college and secondary school students.
We had to go easy on maintenance over the last 2 years while we grapple with returning roofs over the heads of families across the island. Yes, I hear the cries of the students at the state college, and I see the consequence of unsatisfactory maintenance. But we had to choose between securing the replacement of your homes and maintaining your doors and windows at the college. We had to choose between aiding and sustaining our students abroad and replacing the broken desk or chair in our secondary schools. Remember, my dear people, resources are not infinite. We have each day to cut and contrive and to choose one thing over the other. But rest assured that we are fully cognizant of the concerns of special interest groups in Dominica, because we are a government with our ears very close to the ground and we listen.
Blind and visually impaired people in Dominica and the wider OECS region welcoming plans by the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank to issue notes that they can easily identify. The Eastern Caribbean Central Bank has been engaging the blind and visually impaired throughout the Eastern Caribbean with regard to its rollout of its new family of EC banknotes with a special added feature. Any visually impaired person who can read Braille will find the new feature on the EC banknotes helpful. They are looking forward to the promise of greater financial independence when the notes come into circulation.
We have come a long way as blind persons, and we like to have our own independence. And so it's been a good experience today to learn about the notes and to know we're going to expect good things when we start using them for ourselves.
I find that the notes are easily identified. For example, a $100 note is a square, which can be identified with your finger as a blind person. Similarly, a $50 bill is a triangle. And we look forward to testing the other notes, the $5 notes and the $20 notes.
It's gonna make me as a blind person very more independent, since I will be able to easily identify the monies that I have, and we want to congratulate the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank for this initiative.
More confident in handling my own money, because now I wouldn't have to go and ask somebody, that is what. I can just feel it and know exactly what note I have in my hand.
Now that I'm able to touch and detect the different notes, I don't have to bother my little nieces and nephews. I'm now able to manage and control, my money. As I said, I am king controlling my money. So as I said, I want to say thanks to the bank for, this initiative, and I hope that it would reach, out to more persons who are blind and visually impaired, and they too, the same way I'm feeling, they would have the same feelings.
I really appreciate the notes. Teach us really to be independent and help us more, because sometimes we have to be by ourselves and using money, so it would help us to, to get around the money, and the identifying the notes and how they are put into the money help us, even though we are slow in reading, some of us, that we can grasp that, because it is so simple that the simplest of person can understand the notes very well.
I love the notes, especially with the different things at the top. It make it more easier for us to figure out which note the notes are. So I love them very much.
So I'm happy today to see that we're moving along with technology and creating the conditions, and even with simpler markings, we got it that is coming with circle, triangle, rectangle, square, and the next, and the next. Very good, simple, outstanding. I think that this is an excellent thing we're doing here. I commend, should I say, laud and applaud the Monetary Council for doing it and thus giving us an opportunity to make the first step. And I know this will last, because you can tell from the texture, the molecular texture of the material, that it will last, of giving us as visually impaired people the opportunity, one step towards the opportunity of economic independence.
It's so important. It makes me feel so good. I feel like a queen with my money now. Nobody can rule me.
And he came out of obscurity and was catapulted onto the international scene after he saw himself in as the interim president of Venezuela. But who is Juan Guaido, and do we know anything about his background beyond the fact that he was president of the National Assembly? The US and a number of European governments have endorsed him, but journalist and author Max Blumenthal offers his analysis of Venezuela's political crisis.
Yeah, and it's interesting, no other U.S. media publication seems to have taken a deep dive to try to understand who he is. I think that's sort of the deliberate. What Dan Cohen and I found here was so shocking that we felt that it needed to be reported in detail. And what we found, first of all, is that Guaido was a mid-level figure in a very unpopular party called Popular Will, which has been backed by the U.S. for years. It is one of the most violent and radical parties in Venezuela, directly connected to the violent guarimbas in 2017 and 2014, which left a total of some 200 people dead, including many of the security forces he's now trying to get to come out and rebel against Maduro. So,
and let us probably state that when it comes to Venezuelan politics, there's a whole lot of opposition.
Yes, and that's a great point, and I wanted to make that point. You know, when you talk about the people who support Henry Capriles, who is popular, or Henry Falcón, these people are not on board with the agenda of Guaido. You know, the data analysis, their pollster, Luis Vicente Leon, who's the top pollster in Venezuela, said most Venezuelans reject the agenda of Guaido because they don't want war. But the agenda of Guaido, and Popular Oil and the people around him is just that. It's war, and their real constituency is here in Washington, where they were trained with U.S. dollars to serve as the inner cadre of a destabilization campaign that began in 2007.
Well, what does that mean, Max? You know, you use the word trained. That's a loaded word. Who trained him? What's he being trained to do?
Great question. There's a group in Belgrade called Otpor, which is a student group that was backed by the National Endowment for Democracy, the regime change arm of the U.S., and even the CIA, apparently, to bring down Slobodan Milosevic with a series of tactics, popular mobilization tactics. They succeeded, and these Venezuelan activists were brought out there starting in 2005. Dan Cohen and I found these documents from Stratfor that outlined the training programs. And in one of the documents, they declared that when you see 4 Venezuelan universities simultaneously rising up in protest against Hugo Chavez, then you'll know the real work has begun. Juan Guaido was part of what's known as Generation 2007, trained by the CIA and NED-backed Otpor, that was brought into Venezuela to apply these tactics and destabilize the country. And they came to bear through various campaigns and plots, starting in 2010, a plot funded by figures from the oil industry that was nationalized, who wanted to take back control of the oil. Guaido was in those meetings as well. He's been at the forefront of every violent destabilization campaign, and we've even produced video of him being involved in these garimbas. And yet now he's being marketed as this great democratic figure. This isn't about democracy.
Imagine you have Hollywood at your command. Introducing Flow Evil. Anywhere you are.
Big girls don't scream hard like Halloween, make me feel alive.
There's a world of entertainment here, and you run the show. Flow Evil.
To end the news, a look again at the headlines. New EC banknotes with special features expected to increase the independence of the blind and visually impaired. Dominicans told they should not be expected or not expect to be burdened with the financing of the country's new cruise and cargo ports. And head of the Builders and Contractors Association calls for financial incentives for local builders. Feel free to contact us at news@marpin2k4.com. You may access our past newscasts on our YouTube channel. On behalf of the production team, I am Julian Morris. Thank you for watching. Join us tomorrow.